then this is a quick conversation that you're going to want to pay attention to. For those of you who are unfamiliar, I'm a banker by trade, retail banking for over 13 years now, the time of this recording. And I want to give you a really concise message about 2026 and the potential for the stock market in particular, and in particular 401ks, because in 401ks, you tend to have less control over what you're invested in. There's a lot of different markers that are influencing how the stock market is going to perform next year. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to be some kind of total loss or complete market loss chaos, but what I am going to tell you is the concept of investing in just, a steady ETF or just some random basket of the top performing companies is looking real shaky for 2026. And I'm going to give you the foundation and the catalyst as to why. This video, or this live stream rather, was really kind of inspired by one of my fellow creators and one of the biggest supporters on this channel at Rich Auntie Status, Autumn. So if you happen to catch this, hopefully take the time out. This is also kind of pertaining to the comment that you left on a previous video that I filmed. Just basically trying to figure out, are you too stuck in an old school mindset with just sitting in a random ETF or regular ETF and expecting to ride the stock market out for 20 or 30 years? 2026, due to the current administration's policies, due to a lot of what's going on in the economy in the private sector, aka basically what's going on like with interest rates, what's going on with the labor market with jobs, all of that is changing significantly. And because of that reason, there's going to be a lot of room for instability in those regular, steady, S&P 500 ETFs and index funds. A lot of us are in 401ks that are in these like target 2020, 2040, 2050, 2060 401ks that are set to invest a certain way based on our age and our respected or expected retirement age. You don't have a lot of flexibility. You can't pull out of, what you're investing in with your 401k and just throw it all in crypto or throw it all in gold and silver or real estate or whatever the case may be. If you're invested and you are trying to avoid penalties, if you're trying to avoid taxes, etc., then you're kind of stuck with whatever that brokerage or sponsor or whatever the case decides to throw you in. So what are some of the markers of concern for 2026? For those of you who are not familiar, which I suspect many of you may not fully be, there's several different mechanisms or perils for risk when in the stock market, all right? If you are licensed, like I'm FINRA licensed, we learn about all the different forms of risk that can influence the performance of stocks. Systemic risk, policy risk, interest rate risk, there's a list of different forms of risk that can affect the performance of a stock. That having been said, 2026, unfortunately, is facing several of those risks at one time. What are some examples? The economy is not performing the way that they're trying to get us to believe it's performing. That's number one. The stock market is going to be sensitive to the fact that continuous data is going to come out telling us that the economy is not really growing at the pace that they're expecting or hoping it to grow. That's going to be number one. Number two is going to be the fact that unemployment is continuing to creep up, right? So unemployment creeping up is an indicator that the economy is a lagging indicator that the economy is not doing very well and companies are starting to do layoffs. So that's another big thing. Y'all make sure y'all leave a like as y'all come into the building. Shout out to y'all coming in. I appreciate y'all. So the economy is not growing at the healthy pace they're trying to get us to believe. Unemployment is slowly creeping up. The Federal Reserve is dropping interest rates. So you remember a little bit earlier, I said interest rate risk. The Federal Reserve is dropping interest rates, which generally can be good for the stock market in the longer term, but it can be a sign or a confirmation that the economy is not doing well, which the stock market may find concerning. So that's number three. The next thing you have to talk is policy risk. You heard me mention that a little bit earlier. Policy risk is going to be when a given government administration, our current presidential administration and its, cabinets, etc., make certain policies or policy changes, etc., and those policies affect the stock market directly. They affect certain industries in the stock market. They may pass some kind of regulation that will damage the energy market. They may pass some kind of regulation that has a boost for the medical industry. There's a lot of room for political risk because we have a current administration that's taken a lot of bold action and bold risk, whether you agree or disagree. Put it in the chat or comment section down below what you think about the current administration a year in. Whatever your stance is, they're very, very engaged in the political process, to say the least. That pen is stroking all the time. So you have political risk going on. That's just a few quick examples of the kind of things that are going on that are going to impact the stock market. Where am I taking this as far as performance in the stock market is concerned? Where this is going to lead is the standard, cute, neatly packaged S&P 500 type of scenarios that many of us have grown accustomed to are going to perform differently, because the S&P 500 is made up of the biggest companies in the United States, the United States stock market. And that's the most common basket that many of us in. We're exposed to a lot of things in our 401k, all right? Y'all probably should go break down and look at your 401k and see what you're investing in. I always recommend a rebalancing every 6 months or so, at least a look. But you'd be surprised what you're investing in. You could be in, a piece of it could be in S&P 500, a piece of it can be in international markets, small cap funds, mid cap funds. These are going to all be examples of the diverse basket based on your retirement age, right? So the further from retirement age you are, the more aggressive the portfolio is likely to be. And as you get closer to retirement, the more it's going to rebalance to low risk to minimize loss of capital. Hopefully that makes sense so far. And comment or chat down below if you have any questions so far. So with all of the different risks, some of the different risks that I just named, that's not all of them by any means, but the ones that I did just name alone are enough to be very tumultuous going into 2026. We also have a Federal Reserve change coming up in 26, meaning that President Trump is going to get the opportunity to pick a new Fed chairman. And Jerome Powell has been very, very steady and trying to be very patient since, the last year and a half on coming down on rates. He's trying to make sure inflation is under control while balancing unemployment and a slowing economy. Not an easy job to do. You can let me know if you're familiar with how that works and what's your opinion on the Federal Reserve and the decisions they've been making. But that having been said, they control the major interest rates in the economy for the banking system in particular. And so the Federal Reserve is going to be, Jerome Powell is going to be out of his seat as of May 2026. President Trump gets to pick who sits in that seat, somebody with a lot of power. And so likely he's going to pick somebody who's going to lean in his camp on decision making. That means rates could end up getting cut more aggressively if all of that works out. You have a lot of other things going on policy wise. We have what's going on with Venezuela in the background. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to that. And yes, all of this is tied to your 401k and your stock portfolio, whatever you may have going on, but particularly 401ks, because you don't have the ability to decide what you're invested in. And so what's going on with Venezuela could affect energy markets, and energy is behind everything. If energy prices go up or down, that can affect the cost of goods and services across the board. All of this, inflation could pick back up if rates get cut too soon. The economy can slow down further. Unemployment can peak faster than expected. We have a lot of intangibles. We have a lot of variables that we cannot predict where they're going to go just in 2026. It is literally going to be a very, very wild, unexpected, unpredictable window of time. And the stock market does not like unpredictability. And so this is an example, just 2026 is an example of what I'm giving you. And this is just the surface. I'm trying not to go too deep on this, but insurance rates increase in 2026. Credit Cousin, my guy, man, it's always an honor to have you in the building, but you are absolutely correct. We have insurance. We didn't even get into the insurance costs, natural disasters. We're not even getting into all of that. That's a whole nother beast going on because that affects real estate, that affects the stock market. So all of that having been said, we have many factors. Y'all continue to put them in the chat down below and let me know what y'all think. Like, let me know some other risks that I didn't name, earlier in the live stream. There's a lot going on in 2026. And so what that means is those of us that are sitting in the vanilla S&P 500 target date 2050 funds may see some serious turbulence. And honestly, speaking more to Autumn directly when she was asking, can I not just sit in my ETF anymore and ride it out for 20 to 30 more years until I retire? And I'm like, I'm not sure anymore. Why? Because the velocity of money, the speed at which interest rates, the speed of political decisions, all of that is changing drastically. It is changing. We went through an interest rate cycle just since 2020. We're in 2025 at the end of 2025 for this live stream. Just since 2020 to 2025, we've seen 3 shifts in interest rate cycles. 3. A lot of you may not be as versed on economics and how that works. That's some kind of stuff that happens over the course of a decade plus. Like the previous, world we lived in financially, you might see interest rates go up or down and it stays that way for 8, 9, 10 years. We've seen it 3 times just since 2020. And that's a huge impact on stock market, on our financial markets overall. So just since 2020, rates plummeted due to the health crisis. Spiked back up, what, late 2022, 2023. Now they're getting cut again, 2024, 2025. We are living through an exceptional change in speed politically. We're changing in speed when it comes to interest rates. We're changing in speed when it comes to policy. We're also changing in speed when it comes to geopolitical risk, which is basically wars or some kind of serious changes overseas. We have the situation in Venezuela going on. Nobody's talking about it, but Russia and Ukraine is still happening. Nobody's talking about it, but Israel and Gaza is still happening. We have problems all over the world. Sudan, Africa, the Congo, there's conflict and war going on there that we are involved in, by the way. Don't get it twisted in the United States. All of that affects the stock market because all of that stuff has really got resources behind it. It has money behind it. And so the idea of being able to sit comfortably in your 401k and a target date fund or your ETF and your IRA, you have to be a lot more engaged in that if you want to make it 20 or 30 more years with policies, conflicts, political changes, like all of that changing at the rate and speed is changing, and the impact it has on the stock market. I'm not telling you that there's not good long-term plays in the stock market, because there are. But what I am telling you is that you're not going to be able to blindly sit behind, 2 or 3 of your favorite companies in a lot of cases and not even check it for, 15, 20, 30 years. You got to pay attention because things are changing at an exceptional pace. And the real opportunities require due diligence. They require, a hand on the pulse. So either you need to get more engaged with your finances or your retirement, your investments, or you need to find a professional who you can trust that can do it with you. Because I'm telling you, the idea of sitting into the Q S&P 500, the Q ETF, the Q index fund is changing. I'm trying to give you a real quick tip. It's changing. You will not be able to sit behind in these funds and do next to nothing and everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's not really how that works. So anymore, at least, the baby boomer era and the eras of the 80s and 90s where you could ride out companies for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, ride out whole baskets of companies and whole industries and sectors is pretty much gone. It's really gone. The turbulence and volatility, even if those companies or the sector is doing well over time, the volatility can change drastically. The volatility can change drastically right when you're trying to retire, right when you're trying to pull those funds. So what I'm encouraging is, again, this was inspired by Autumn, just dropping a really good, question. She was being funny, but she was also giving a real question. Like, have things changed so much to the point where I can no longer do this really, really solid, predictable ETF or whatever and just ride it out? And the answer is not really. So I want y'all to chat down below. Let me know what you think. Frank Barrett, do you mentor? Yes, I do. I do mentor. I'm a banker by trade, so I actually work with clients full time in real life. I'm not just a random finance dude on YouTube. I actually am a licensed financial professional, but I also do work with some of my subscribers if they tap in with me. So if you're curious about that, just drop it in the comment section after this live goes live, because I won't be able to get back to this chat. So please, I'm about to end this live stream shortly. Go back to the video and just drop in the comment section if you're interested in learning more about what that looks like. But I am encouraging y'all as I close this out. I appreciate y'all for coming in. Make sure you leave a like. Let me know you're in the building. Leave a like on the video. And yeah, I'm encouraging y'all to pay attention in 2026. I'm going to be a lot more active. I took my foot off the gas. I got a video coming out about that tomorrow. So y'all tune in for that so I can give y'all some insights on where the channel's headed. But y'all don't sleep on your portfolios. Don't sleep on your investments. Don't sleep on your finances altogether. I got Credit Cousin on the channel, still in the live. Another fellow creator that's channel is doing well. He and I have been on the same page about, a lot of things on personal finance, and something I think we can agree on as I close this out. You got to take the wheel if you're serious about your finances. You cannot do the sit in and forget it strategies on hardly anything anymore. Money's changing, policies changing, interest rates are changing. It's all changing way too fast to sit back and be passive. So I encourage y'all to get in the description down below or the comment section down below. And let me know if you need some guidance with this. I'll put out video responses to help answer questions. I'll do more live streams. I will be more engaged closing out this year and going into 2026. But I want to revamp the channel to give you guys more value. But If you're looking to work with me more one-to-one and get some insight, get in the comment section after this video goes live, and I would love to connect with you and find out how I can help. But other than that, to all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.